Well, moving on to our last segment of the podcast. It is part two of Deal or No Deal. It's been I think over a month since we did our last Deal or No Deal. I have a bunch of Deal or No Deals. A couple more be a little bit quicker than others. I have like one outrageous from left field one that I saw. I was like, man, I got to throw this one in here because I think that would be really funny to bring up. A couple of left field ones. First one, I have DeForest Buckner going to the Cincinnati Bengals. Trade compensation would be a second round pick. Now, if some people are wondering why you do that, Colts side, final year of the contract for the Colts for DeForest Buckner. And then on the other side for the Bengals, why would you trade for DeForest? You had one of the worst run defense in the league. So, and DeForest Buckner is one of the best. Your contract acquired is your only 1 year, $19.2 million. So you'd have to take that into consideration when trading for him. So again, DeForest Buckner to the Cincinnati Bengals, giving up your 2024 second round pick, which is number 49 overall. Deal or no deal on this one?
I mean, I think the Cincinnati Bengals are ready to compete. They were ready to compete this year. Obviously, Joey B had his injury problems this year, which knocked him out of playoff contention. I think that's a good deal for them. DeForest Buckner's a stud. You're not locked into anything long term, and you're not going to replace the production you can get out of DeForest Buckner with a second round pick. So I actually like that idea. I think it's almost certain the Colts are going to try to move on from him in the offseason just because
Yeah.
he makes so much money, and it just is. That's the type of player that you add when you're trying to get to the top, when you're trying to climb the mountain. You know, you're up there base camp at a million thousand feet, and you just need one more thing to put you over the top. That's the type of move that adding a player like DeForest Buckner is. So I
Yep.
actually like it for a couple of different teams, especially for a second. So I would pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, I agree. You know, you see a team like the Chiefs where they give up Tyreek Hill and re-sign Chris Jones, and they get 2 Super Bowls out of it. You know, you're hoping for. You okay?
I I I have no memory of that. That's weird.
Oh, okay.
When did
um,
they won two
you,
Super Bowls? When?
Yeah, yeah, I know it's weird. You were in a coma for a little while, and yeah, sorry, dude. It's been a devastating couple of years for you. So I think it makes sense for the Bengals. They want to replicate something similar to that. You let go of a guy like T. Higgins, you give a job compensation for a superstar in DeForest. I also agree. I think it makes sense.
Especially if you can get a second for T. Higgins. I mean, if you're just swapping
Yeah,
a contract that you have to pay T. Higgins to bring in DeForest Buckner, yeah, let's
yeah,
go.
for sure. Now this one's had a little bit of whispers. One side saying he wants out, the other side saying no, I never said that. Edge rusher Hassan Reddick going to the Houston Texans. Trade compensation. It's a second round pick. This one is number 59 though, so this one's a little bit further down the board, closer to the end of the second round. The contract requires just a 1 year, $15.5 million contract. So you're kind of, if you're the Texans, you're looking at this as I'm going with Hassan Reddick and I'm making this trade on a 1 year, or I'm re-signing Grenard. You're making that decision. Am I re-signing Grenard, or am I going with a trade like this? You know, who's going to give me the bigger production for at least next year? So deal or no deal for this one.
For where the Texans are with their team and what they're building towards and what they're trying to accomplish next season, I'm going to go with a no deal on this one. I love the idea of Hassan Reddick and what he could accomplish on the Texans next year, but
Yeah.
you're not bringing him back. You're not re-signing him after next year. And what's your goal for next year? You're not making a Super Bowl push. Obviously, if CJ Stroud grows and has an even better year next year, then the sky's the limit for them. But frankly, when you're building your team in the offseason, you're not thinking Super Bowl next season. So
Yeah.
that's not a. I do think that the Hassan Reddick stuff, I do think that he is going to be traded. I do think that he does want to trade. I think he might have mentioned that
Yeah.
to somebody that wasn't supposed to report it. And that's why he's kind of gone out there and been like, whoa, 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 just to kind of like get that on the record. But
Right.
players say stuff all the time. One of my favorite things to do is I listen to a really, really good Sacramento Kings podcast, and they do this segment called The Business of Basketball. and they talk about stuff that's happened in previous years that they weren't allowed to report at the time because it was off the record, but now it's been so long they can talk about it. And some of this shit is just absolutely crazy. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that Hassan Reddick said to someone, "Yeah, I got to get out of here." And then they ran with the story when they weren't supposed to, and that's why he came out and was like, "Well, I never requested a trade," because he probably hasn't. Probably
Yeah.
hasn't called up Howie and said, "Hey, get me the hell out of here." But
Yeah. No, I think if this was like you said, it's a 1 year. So if this was a multi-year deal, even a 2 year, I think you're closer on the deal side of it. But if it's just a 1 year, it's harder to say deal to a team that's not ready to make that Super Bowl push. Which this next one we're going to talk about an edge rusher who might help a team make that Super Bowl push because they were just in the NFC Conference Championship game. So edge rusher Khalil Mack to the Detroit Lions. Trade compensation is a 2025, so next year's 4th round pick. So contract acquired is a 1 year, $23.25 million. Lions need help on that. The edge rushing side, obviously, they have Aiden Hutchinson, but you can't do it all by yourself, and you need guys to take up blockers to help you get freed. So, and as much as a high motor as he has, it's going to get real tiring real quick. At that age, young age, kind of doing it year after year after year, it's gonna suck. So Khalil Mack from the Chargers to the Lions, deal or no deal?
I think that's a great deal for almost any team. A 2025 pick for Khalil Mack. You know how many sacks he had this year? Like, he may not replicate that, but if he can bring 80% of that, 70% of that for a 4th overall pick 2 years from now, that's a trade I would want the Cowboys to make. That's a trade I want the 49ers to make. I would be all in on that trade. I don't know if the Lions are the ones that make that trade just because their own team doesn't think they're making it back to the playoffs next year. But I don't hate the idea of Khalil Mack at all. I mean, I think he's a big time cut candidate for the Chargers. So if they can pick up any type of compensation for him, I think they roll. And the only reason why he's a cut candidate is because that team is buried in cap, bad cap space. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, next one is a smaller time one. I think this one just kind of makes sense. Who they're looking for a replacement at running back at this point. So, running back Miles Sanders from the Panthers to the Vikings for a 2025 5th round pick. Contract acquired is a 3-year, $5.3 million a year annual salary. So that's what you're looking at. Miles Sanders to the Vikings, deal or no deal?
Yeah, if you're going to trade for a running back, he has to be under contract moving forward. This checks all the boxes for him. You might be able to find a running back in the 5th round, but this guy's already under a contract, a 3-year contract. You're going to get a 4-year contract for a rookie running back anyway, and you know that he has a proven track record. So I don't see how you get hurt on this deal. That's kind of a deal that I would see. That's something that I think a team like the Cowboys could make. Like, you're trading late round draft compensation for a guy that has a proven track record. I know you want him to go out and swing for the fences for Derrick Henry, but if it doesn't happen, then bringing somebody in that has a track record while also adding to it, because you're not bringing that guy in to rush for 1,200 yards and carry the ball 20 times a game. But you're going to hand a 4-year contract to a rookie anyway. Getting someone with a proven track record makes sense, especially for late round draft compensation, because that's all just a shot in the dark anyway.
Yeah. We talked about this next one earlier. And he's been brought up already in the first deal or no deal. The only returning man, Justin Fields himself, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is a 2nd, number 52 overall, and a next year's 5th round pick. You're obviously only getting a 1 year, $3.23 million, and fully guaranteed is the contract acquired, plus a 5th year option for 2025. So for Pittsburgh, does this really make sense to trade for Justin Fields?
No.
That's a no deal for you on that one.
You're
gonna really piss off all the Justin Fields fans. Okay, they're coming. They have pitchforks, dude. They were all in the comments.
I don't get the infatuation with this player.
Dude. It's
like, if you love Justin Fields this much, like, he's had the same career that Zach Wilson has, and no one's clamoring for Zach Wilson. Like, matter of fact, The
Zach Wilson
second
has bigger highs than Justin Fields has.
the second most productive quarterback out of that draft class was Trey freaking Lance. He just kept getting hurt. That dude never even got a shot. If you're going to
Yep.
trade a pick for a player, trade it for Trey Lance because he still might have the talent. Like he just
Yeah.
got hurt. Like that's all there is to it. Not that I'm an advocate for Trey Lance because I don't think that he is fast enough to do what his game wants to do in the NFL, but the problem with Justin Fields is you get 1 year with him and then you have to
Yeah.
pay him.
Yep.
And so you're going to be sitting
Like
there.
you said, it feels like a Daniel Jones situation.
And then what are you doing? Like, what if he doesn't play well? God forbid, what if he gets hurt? What if he gets hurt? And he misses 8 or 9 games. And not even like 9 games in a row. He just is up and down. Kenny Pickett's thrusted back in the starting role because I can't imagine too many people are knocking down the doors to trade for him. And then you got Kenny Pickett and Justin Fields. You got no future with any of them. I honestly think that if you could control NFL free agency and trades, like what is the best place for Justin Fields to go next year where they have a quarterback need for him to be successful?
I know it's kind of cliche at this point. Atlanta's up there. Good offensive line, decent weapons. Depends on the offensive coordinator being put in and, what offense they're going to actually deploy. But it feels like a pretty good spot.
For me, and you're close to what I think, if you're Atlanta and you have all those pieces, and the problem is every time Arthur Blank gets in front of a microphone, he talks about how they have Super Bowl talent. Like Justin Fields is not the guy to get you to a Super Bowl. So I really think that they're zoning in on like a Kirk Cousins type thing.
Yeah, reports have come out for that one that they're ready to offer a contract.
If I was trading for Justin Fields, there's 2 places that I would want to bring him in. Or if I was a Justin Fields fan and I wanted him to be successful in the NFL, I would think about him going to the Saints because they have Chris Olave and they have Alvin Kamara. But Denver, like with Sean Payton, like if you want him to be successful, then you have to put him with a coach that is going to be able to be willing to help him be successful. And sending him to Sean Payton seems like the best chance for him. And I just don't think Denver does that because they already got the same type of situation with Russell Wilson. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I just think that his ability, he would have to grow so much as a passer to ever be. And his running game is not, it's not like Lamar Jackson needs to learn how to throw the football. Like he's not Lamar,
Lamar's an alien. You can never, ever talk about Lamar.
And you still got people out there that think he's a sack of crap, even though he has 2 MVPs. Like you still have people out there that want to question his ability and his talent. And, the rushing yards and the rushing touchdowns don't count. Only passing touchdowns and passing yards for quarterbacks count. It doesn't matter that he had 44 touchdowns because, 10 of them were rushing. That doesn't count. Oh, almost got a cramp. Almost fell over in my chair. Lamar Jackson got me riled up, baby. Justin Fields is none of that. Like he's not. And I don't know, like you're going to trade for him to give him the reins for a year. Like you don't run it back with a lame duck head coach that only has 1 year left on his contract, unless you're the Cowboys. You don't run it back with a lame duck quarterback. It's not something the NFL does. And to trade for him, and we're not talking about a player that has been really, really good, but plagued with injuries. Like if he can just stay healthy, he can put it together. Like he's been healthy. He just has not done it. He can't throw from the pocket. He can't do any of it. And what's funny is this is like a 49ers / Cowboy centric podcast. And I feel like most of our stuff has been about this player for the last couple of weeks. And it's honestly, it's not even to the point where like, we can argue the Brock Purdy thing, right? Is he elite? Is he not elite? There's statistics on both sides to back it up, blah, 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 blah. What is the argument for Justin Fields? Like, what is the argument as to why he can throw for 35 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions and 4,000 yards next year? Forget that. Let's go to Lamar Jackson. What is the argument that he can get you 35 touchdowns in any type of way, 4,000 all-purpose yards next year? What is the argument that he can do that? Because we've never seen it. We've never seen anything come close. So why is this a player that's so highly sought after? And I would love for him to be successful because it's good for talking points. Like, up another quarterback sucks. Yeah, well, that's standard. Like,
Yeah.
it just I want to be proven wrong. I don't see watching him what makes people think like, oh yeah, he can take the next step if given the right opportunity.
The only thing that people were even saying in the comment section, trying to argue with me, is they weren't even talking about Justin. They were just talking about Caleb. That's the only thing that they would talk about. It's like, oh, well, Caleb's not a guarantee. Congratulations. Welcome to drafting. Nobody's a guarantee. You're drafting off of potential, team fit, what you can do with the player. You're not drafting off of guarantees. There's not guarantees in the draft. We talk about there's certain like blue chip prospects, right? Last year, Peter Skoronski, I'm like, yeah, if you're going to get a guarantee, it's going to be this guy. And the guy was good. When I say it's a guarantee, it's like as close as possible to not a tackle, Peter Skoronski. As close as possible to a guarantee as you can get. In this year's draft, is there a blue chip guy who's going to be as close as possible to a guarantee? Maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. is a guy who is there.
Brock.
But, what?
Bowers, baby. That dude is going to be.
Guess, yeah.
He's going to be legit. He's going to be a legit tight end.
Yeah, I can live with that.
But then the funny thing is he's going to go top 5, and he won't have a Sam Laporta year. You know what I mean? But it's just like, that's how great that kid's year was. There's really not. And the funny thing is we might not even see an edge rusher. We might not even see a defensive tackle edge rusher type player go till like 10 or 11. Like, wherever Dallas Turner goes, he's going to be the first one of those guys off the board. There's really no it's not like, listen, if Nick Bosa was sitting there at number 2 and you were talking about Kyler Murray, we already got Josh Rosen on the roster. Do we take Kyler Murray or do we just roll with Nick Bosa? This is not this type of situation. Like,
yeah,
unless you're going to call up the Cardinals and trade to pick 4, and pick up Marvin Harrison Jr. But even then, I don't think that adding Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Bears turns Justin Fields into a successful quarterback. I just don't.
No, it doesn't. No, not at all. I mean, at the end of the day, Caleb Williams' floor is higher than where Justin Fields is playing right now. That's what it is at the end of the day. Sorry, he's just not a very good quarterback, and the traits and the tools that Caleb has, it's too high to pass up at the end of the day. And again, like you said, Justin Fields, he has not shown you, and he's not proven to anybody why he should be the starter on that team over Caleb. Sorry, a guy who hasn't even taken a snap in the NFL, Justin still hasn't proven on why he should be the starter over him.
And frankly, either of those guys, take Drake May, move back a pick,
Yep.
and say, call the Commanders and say, hey, we're taking Drake May. Do you want to move up to 1 for Caleb? Like, what do you want to do? And take him. Either of those guys, because their potential is higher than Justin Fields' potential, because we've already seen Justin Fields. His potential is no longer. It doesn't matter where he was drafted. It doesn't matter. That's all ended. He's just a quarterback in the NFL now, and he's not playing the position very well. So if you're going to add Marvin Harrison Jr. and you're going to add all this other pieces, like, there's nothing you can do to guarantee him a successful season next year. And guess what? What happens if you trade away the pick and Justin Fields has the same season he had this year? Let's just say he has the same exact season. And then Caleb Williams has and he probably won't do this, I understand that, but what if Caleb Williams has a CJ Stroud type year and Justin Fields has a Justin Fields type year? What are you going to do at that point besides fire everybody? Justin Fields threw for 2,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions this year on 61% completion rate. Like, that is abysmal. 61% completion rate. Abysmal. 2,500 yards. You want to run that back? Why?
Yeah, and if you're looking at some of the advanced statistics too, he's 18th in money throws, he's 15th in danger plays, he's 16th in pressure throws. So I don't want to hear about, well, he had no time to throw. It's there. He was 21st in interceptable passes. That's with missing a couple of games as well. He's 22nd in yards per attempt. You're looking at 32nd in accuracy rating, 22nd in true completion percentage. That's true completion percentage. Deep ball completion percentage, 13th. Pressured, 9th. So that's his one bright spot, it looks like. Play action, 35th. Red zone, 17th. So clean pocket is 32nd. When we talk about you can't play from the pocket, you're looking at 32nd. And to the dude who literally tried to tell me that most quarterbacks are terrible pocket passers, and then you name off Patrick Mahomes, you're an idiot. I shouldn't even read the rest of what you said, because it negated everything that you said. It just doesn't make any sense. True passer rating 20th. I mean, I can go on and on and on. QBR 22nd. He's just not good. At the end of the day, get over it. And that's what Justin Fields is.
QBR literally exists to factor in a quarterback's running potential. Like, they needed another stat that wasn't just particularly passing based, so they invented QBR. Yeah. He was 22nd in QBR. Like,
yeah.
He got sacked 44 times. You're a mobile fucking quarterback. How are you going to be mobile getting sacked 44 times? How does that make sense? You're supposed to be mobile so you don't take sacks 44 times.
Yep.
You cannot be getting sacked 3 times a game when you're supposed to be a mobile quarterback. When Russell Wilson was at the height of his powers, he did not get sacked. He ran around for 657 minutes, and then he threw a 90-yard touchdown to freaking Doug Baldwin every time. I'm pretty sure you can look up the stats, guys. They ran that play where he ran around behind the line for 105 hours and then threw a touchdown to Doug Baldwin 796 times. I'm pretty sure that's
Russell Wilson's time to throw, because he held the ball on, was like always top 3 in the league year after year after year, because he would just hold the ball and keep running around.
Yeah, and it was top 100 percentile against the 49ers, because I watched it for 130 years. Yeah, I'm telling you, Justin Fields doesn't have any of that. He doesn't even honestly, I would just, if I were the Bears and you don't want to take Caleb, just pick up the phone, say, hey, Arizona, let's swap picks. Give us Kyler Murray. You can have Justin Fields. You can have Caleb, and we're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. and we'll run it with Kyler. That would be 1,000 times better than running it back with Justin Fields.
I agree. Yep. Well, I do have one more deal or no deal. I threw this last one in there.
You paced this wrong. You should have definitely put Justin Fields last.
Well, this one was one I added on at the last minute. I'm like, damn. This comes out of left field because I saw this one. I want to know if this would be enough to move the needle for you on a guy like Patrick Surtain going to the Detroit Lions.
Yes.
Would this compensation be enough for you? 29th overall pick. So this year's first, next year's first, and next year's fourth.
That would not get Patrick Surtain out of Denver.
I was curious to see what you would say about that one.
No.
Honestly, this Justin Fields stuff is gonna. I hope it does great, because I'm gonna title it like Justin Fields is the worst quarterback in the league or something, just for the people watching it, just so they can get angry, because they're gonna click on it getting pissed off already.
I think that Patrick Surtain, the only team, I'm looking at my caller ID. I'm sitting in the front office in Denver, Mile High, and I'm looking at the caller ID. And the only time I'm picking up the phone is if the Bears call me. And if you call me and you're saying you can have Caleb Williams, but we want Patrick Surtain, that's the only time I am considering it, because he was drafted high. He's played really, really well. Is there any other young corner in the league outside of maybe Sauce? And the thing about Sauce is they don't even throw at that dude, which is
not anymore.
That's impressive in itself. But those are the two young stud corners in the league right now.
Yep.
He's going to be Jalen Ramsey for the next 12 years. You don't just give that up for a couple of first. Why would you trade for him? Why would you trade him? For the opportunity to draft him? No, stupid. Mm-hmm. We don't trade away DeForest Buckner to try to draft DeForest Buckner. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not trading away Brandon Ayuk for the chance to draft Brandon Ayuk. Stupid. And unless you can really move up, and honestly, you don't even get my pick. You don't get number 12 in Patrick Surtain. I'm not interested in that. You can have Patrick Surtain in next year's first, maybe, but I'm taking the pick and I'm keeping this year's pick because that dude's a certified stud. And realistically, that's some of the draft. That's what I'm talking about draft compensation wise. If the Bears are going to run it back with Justin Fields, because if their defense can hold every team to only 3 points, then maybe Justin Fields can score enough for the Bears to win next year. So if you got Jalen Johnson out there and you got Surtain out there and you got that defense and everything's going great out there, and the defensive line is getting 7 sacks a game because all the wide receivers are locked up, then, and frankly, when you factor in pick sixes and special teams, the Broncos might be able to score 14 to 17 points next week with Justin Fields at their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, if your defense is that good, I feel like you could get better production just trading for Jameis Winston and letting him huck the ball deep, because he'll throw for 30 touchdowns. He might also throw for 30 interceptions, but if your defense is the best in the league, who cares?
30 for 30 legend, bro. All right, well, that is all we have for this week's episode. If you tuned in to the end, I very much appreciate that. We will be back next week talking about another free agency for another division, 2 divisions to be correct. Again, they are projections for that one guy in the comment section.